Hey guys, today I have Ilya and Melissa. A lot of you guys might have seen Ilya's first interview, and we published that a long time ago. I think that was must have been close to a year ago, right, Ilya?
The last video, yeah, was about a year ago, and I
About
got
a
it
year
in
ago.
about 2 years. Almost two and a
Yeah.
half now, yeah.
So I usually like to have these follow-up interviews because I want to show the people here. Because I remember when we first launched your interview, Ilya, some people were commenting like, "Ooh, but they reconciled, sure, but like how long can they last, and I like
Right.
to have these follow-ups right now because I want to show people like, no, once you understand the principles of how to create a successful relationship, how to lead it, the results are pretty much permanent. Like it's not a temporary thing. And I think in the last interview too, you mentioned how you feel confident about driving the ship of this relationship as well. So let's talk more about that in this interview too. But this time we have Melissa as well, who uh, is gracious enough to gift us like an hour and a half of time to do this. So last time we heard from Ilya. This time, Melissa, I want you to start here. From your perspective, if you look back to that time before Ilya joined the program, what were things like?
Like pretty miserable. They were like as bad as you could possibly get.
Tell me more.
Like, it was just like a very like hostile, uncomfortable environment, just like in our house, in our relationship, in our family. Like we pretty much hated each other.
Yeah.
There was like no love there. We would like fake it sometimes because we have a daughter, but it was like I really didn't want to be around him. Like I didn't care if he like went on vacation without me. Like I was glad he was gone. Like I just like lost all desire to spend like any time with him.
Mhm.
And you were telling me beforehand in your write up to for this interview that um when Ilya joined the program, you were having actually chronic migraines.
Mm-hmm.
You described it as like a being a walking ball of anxiety all the time. And
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
even
I was
moments
always
when you would pull over while you're driving because you would just be having panic attacks. Can you tell me more about what was the cause of that panic attacks, you think? Like if you could look back and do a 2020 vision postmortem.
it was like all him. Like he was just like very and like we realize now that he was just like being like spiteful. It was kind of like a war, but he would do like all these like terrible things like for our family and he was just very irresponsible like financially. He was putting us in like a ton of debt. Like he bought these jet skis. Like we were living with his mom and he just went out one day and bought like jet skis, took out this loan. Um what else? Yeah, he was just like doing like awful things. And then like every like
Yeah.
mess he would make, it would be on me to fix it because he wasn't fixing it. And then while I'm trying to fix it, he was just like making it worse and worse and worse. And
Mm.
then when I would go and try to talk to him about it, it was like a catastrophe. It was like never a good time. It was never like the right time of day, never the right day of the week. So I
Yeah.
just like was like trying to fix like all these things that, they were like really like adult things. And I wasn't used to like doing this on my own.
Mhm.
And he was just making it worse. Like some things I just like didn't know how to fix.
It feels like the image I have is almost like dating a child a bit,
It
where
was. It was like I felt like I was like growing up, becoming a parent, and he was like just staying a teenager.
yeah.
Right.
And he's like breaking things along the way, and then you're the
Yeah,
the
yeah,
mom
like
behind him going like, okay, let me
mhm.
fix this. Oh no. Like, yeah.
Yeah, just being destructive, yeah, of
Yeah,
course.
like our car got like repossessed, and like he didn't have a driver's license. He like refused to get a driver's license. Like he got suspended, and like I was like responsible for like driving one car to get the other car and then somehow transporting both cars back. Like it was just all on me. Like I would like wake up in the morning looking for my car and it would just be gone.
Yeah. But I
um
think
yeah.
but I think I don't want people listening to this to get lost in like the real problems because
Yeah.
you said something interesting too, which was that whenever you try to talk to him about it, he would either be in denial of it, so basically stonewall and say, I don't want to talk about this right now. This is not the right time. Or he would be gaslighting in the sense of trying to somehow make this about you and pin the blame on you, etc.
Always.
And I think that destroyed a lot of safety within you directly, not only in the sense of whatever I express, it's not going to be heard or listened to anyway, but it's even more intense than that in that whatever I express is going to be wrong. Whatever I feel is going to be wrong. So you start to feel unsafe about bringing up conversations, bringing up how you feel, And even it goes to the internal state of like subconsciously, you start to feel guilty for feeling what you feel or thinking what you feel as well. And usually a lot of people feel that, but go on.
Yeah, no, it's exactly that. Like I would like find myself in these situations and I'd be like, okay, like I can't fix this on my own. Like I need Ilya to like help me. Like only he can like fix this problem. And then I would go and he'd be like, why are you coming to me at like I just worked all day, or why are you doing this to me on the weekend? This is my day off. And he would just like turn it around on me, like things that were clearly his fault. And it was very confusing because I was like, am I missing something? Am I stupid? Am I wrong about this?
Yeah. And I think that's the part that makes a lot of partners feel very hopeless, because I think if you could have an alternate reality in the past where, yeah, sure, Ilya was being a child,
Mm-hmm.
he was causing so much havoc in the household, but when you sat him down and you actually try to talk to him about it and say like, and he would not be in denial of it, he would be listening to you, he would be understanding your point of view, he'd be like, okay, let me try to see what I can do on my side.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the improvement there. I don't think you would be pulling over due to panic attacks, right? It's not
No,
the
because
problem
then it's
itself.
like
It's
I
like
have a
that
partner.
something. Yeah, it's like that additional layer underneath that's really
Right.
the killer.
Right. Yeah, it was really bad.
Well, I had no comebacks at that time. You know, I had nothing else to say, so I would just,
Because
you know,
it would
dump
be
it.
like I was like anxious about like the thing going on that I had to fix. And then also on top of that, I was anxious because it's like I knew I had to speak to him about it.
Yeah.
It's pretty ridiculous.
Ilya, for your side, because I mean, you're a smart guy. Like, I think you knew at that point in time what you were doing. I think you knew the effects it was having on other people.
Yeah. But I believe
Why
in
continue?
unconditional love, and that we're here, we're married, we have a kid, so no matter what I do, I still.
Yeah.
But in reality, like we were like enemies, as she said, you know, it was like from something from back when, like, you know, before we even got married 10 years back, something I couldn't talk to her about. And I would just act out in these ways because I was mad about it, but I couldn't really talk to her about it. I didn't know how, you know, and little by little, it was just like became like a war, you know, it's like who can one up each other. But she wasn't really, it was like I was always in attack mode, you know, she was trying to fix it, but I was always attacking her and not being a partner at all, more of a worse enemy, you know, more than a partner.
We talk a lot about internal shifts in the program, right? If you could look back, Ilya, and I think somewhere in your mind, you knew what you were supposed to do. You knew what you were doing was not the best thing to do. But it's almost like that childish part of you, that a toxic part of you that's like, you know, sometimes people say this narrative in their head, right? It's like, well, if you're going to do something mean to me, I'm going to do something mean to you back. And it's not a conscious thing you think about. And it's not something you publicize to the world. You will never say, yeah, I think this, but inside you think that.
Right.
What was broken, you think, that was causing?
It was the infidelity from 10 years past.
Tell me more.
So, you know, it was like last year of grad school. I wasn't around. Well, I didn't really pay attention to her then. She moved out to be by my school. And I kind of like abandoned her because I was already busy myself. And there was infidelity on her part. We talked about it after, kind of squashed it, but really didn't, because I always had this feeling inside of me, you know, and I just didn't know how to talk about it properly. Like I didn't understand how to let something like that go. And it, you know, went on for 10 years plus until I took the course. I realized like how it was supposed to be. What was I supposed to talk to her about? And since I did that, it just went away, and it made me realize like how much of a troublemaker I was in our relationship and not being a good partner at all. So little by little, I started to see the value in being a better partner and how to bring that back. And now I don't think about it at all. And I feel bad, of course, for what I did, but it is what it is. It's actually what got us here today. And it had to happen.
Like you were saying that, like, even if that didn't happen, it's like we probably still would have been in the same place. Like it would have been something else.
Yeah, it's not something like that was the thing, but that was the thing that was inside of me for many years. And until at the end, they even diagnosed me with bipolar disorder because of it, because I was always like holding something like that in. And, you know, I'd be happy one moment, but then it would remind me, and then I would be immediately depressive mode, like vindictive mode, you know, it was just poisoning everything in our relationship. But the real thing was just being able to talk about something like that and understand what I needed to pull out of that. Because as soon as we discussed okay, I wasn't around. He just gave you attention, oh, yeah, the things that I was supposed to find out about it back then. When I did find out those things out, now I don't think about it anymore. It doesn't toxify. I understand why she did it. I have empathy for her for doing something like that, and for all these negative things, I actually thank her for it now, because it kind of gets me to the point where I have to change and do something about it, and then, so these bad events are actually turning into something positive, where you could actually learn from these things and turn your life around and get some good result in the end,
Yeah. And I do want to dive into that infidelity part in a bit, because that's always like a very controversial topic. And I think when you joined the program, Ilya, you had you had the mindset of the way you looked at infidelity, for example, the way you interpreted it. I think it fits a lot of how most people would do it. But so yeah, let's talk about that. I want to make that a big topic later. So just to recap here for people too, again, when you are on a brink of a divorce or a separation or something, like your partner has just given up on the relationship, it's rarely because of the problems itself. Like you will always say that it's because of the problems. It's like, oh, because of this happened. Like my wife is having postpartum depression from her childbirth, whatever it is. But it's rarely that. It's really that there is no safety to either express it, to listen to each other about it, to talk about it. And if there's no safety to do that, then both of you are going to be in a place where both of you feel pretty stuck. You have this problem, you cannot talk about it, let alone resolve it. And so you are left with two options here, right? You either accept that things are going to be bad forever, that you're going to be having to like keep this inside you forever, or you leave. That's the only two options you got. You can't go through. So either you accept that you're going to be this has a wall forever, or you just like find another path, right? And I think too, the hopeless part about people having lack of safety is that there's a feedback loop that happens. And I think you mentioned that a bit, which is that I think, Ilya, you saw Melissa as an enemy, which made you do a lot of really toxic things. Melissa, you received that, and you found it harder and harder every single day to want to do nice things for Ilya back. So you start to play a lot of the toxic things, which makes Ilya do things even more, and back and forth, until you get to the point where you say in your mind subconsciously, I know what I'm supposed to do, but I just can't bring myself to do it anymore. I just can't bring it. And I think that's where I think the program was really useful for you, because it starts with this process of untethering first, right? Because for you to break that cycle, one person or both persons needs to say, you know what? I don't care what the existing cycle is. I need to untether so that I need to act against this cycle that we have right now. It's almost like if you look at a company, like a leader in a company, right? A leader in a company has to be untethered, because if all their employees are like stressed out and panicked, and if they are tethered to that and they panic because they're panicked, that's the recipe for disaster, right? So if you want to lead anything, if you want to become an actual leader in anything, you have to learn to untether first. And I think it starts there. Then we go to the bulletproof vest, etc. Now, Melissa, when Ilya joined the program at that point, I mean, you must have told him how hopeless you felt, because Ilya, here's someone who would never have sought help until things got really dire.
He would always say, like, he was like, this is me, I can't change. You should just love me for me. And I was like, you suck.
I thought people never change, and now I know people change on a daily basis. It's okay.
Yeah. How done were you, Melissa, in your mind, in your heart?
No, it took me a while to get to that point. But mostly, like, I was done a while ago, probably like a year and a half before I like said to him, like, I want to get a divorce. Like, I already like sought lawyers. I was like thinking it, but I was just like afraid, because it's like, we have this child, like, how do I do this on my own now? Like, how do I like support her on my own? But then it got to the point where it's like, I was like, I'm doing everything on my own anyway. All the responsibility falls on me anyway. So I might as well like really do it on my own and be like, happy and normal than have him ruining everything.
Yeah.
It took a lot of courage for her to get to that point.
Yeah, it was like already like a year and a half. I was like telling friends like I want to get a divorce. I want to get a divorce. Like telling like my parents, and then finally like I said it to him, and
So when she said it to me,
I was
that,
done.
like,
Yeah,
that was it.
like
there was no turning, and the ads of turning that around at like when it's already 99.999% gone is,
like in my head, I like
very
already
small.
built myself up for it. Like I was like,
Yeah.
Smart. I have a job. I'm a good person. Like I work hard. Like I'm okay with like working hard, working extra hours. Like I can like be fine on my own. Like I'm gonna get like my own apartment with my kid. I'm gonna move back to Long Island. Like I was done. And I was like okay with it. I was at peace with it, and I was just ready to do it and happy to do it.
Yeah. So I think Ilya, you saw that because we always say the opposite of love is not hate, but it's indifference. And I think you kind of heard the indifference in her voice of like, I'm not scared of you anymore. I'm not scared of leaving anymore. I'm not scared of losing this anymore. Was that part of what made you get out of your denial that you've been holding for so long?
The denial, yes, that she was serious, and that this is like gonna impact my kid. Like I always thought, like, being divorced parents is the worst, and like that even made me more victimize myself, and say like, how could you do this and this? So really, it was the kid that kind of latched me on to kind of trying to push forward through it. But yeah, she was done.
And also, like for me, I was like, no, like our daughter's gonna be better off. Like that's how it was, like in my head. I was like, this is like the best thing for her.
I saw that after like a month or two in the program. I actually saw that too myself. That it's actually, it might be actually even better. Like we can make anything work. As soon as I got untethered, that's what I started to like understand myself first. Is that she could be okay with us together or not. We could even make it even better because she doesn't see us bicker and she doesn't see us fight all the time. There's constant tension and negativity in the house. So, but in reality, yeah, it was a year and a half for her to get to that point, so it was going to take a long time to get us out. Yeah, it probably even longer than that.
Probably even longer. Yeah, probably nagging at you for much longer than.
Yeah.
Probably
maybe even 5 years, she said. What I mean? It could be like that. Yeah.
It was like, it's like right when like she was born. That's when it really started going down.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So for you, because getting to that point where you've been saying for so many years, like, this is who I am, you can't change me, accept me for who I am, or leave, basically. Or you were such in denial to where somehow the havoc that you cause, and here's what your wife trying to help the situation, and whenever she tries to help, you just shoot her down, to finally switching it to, okay, I know there's something wrong with me, with the way I'm approaching things. That's a very big shift in mindset. That must have been like a journey in your mind. I mean, you must have done some mental acrobatics there to get you from there to here.
Yeah.
What was the acrobatics that you did, you think?
The acrobatics was going through the course and trying to, see the right mindset patterns and, see like figure out what was my old self and what's my new self trying to be, and seeing like what's the goal of that new self, and slowly starting trying to implement it. And it was a complete 180, to the point where she was hating even more because she thought, it's like, here I was asking him for this for like years,
When you joined the program, I don't think you even knew what to change.
No, I had no idea.
I think you just knew like something needed to change. I don't know what it is. So I'm just gonna like just let this program take me and discover like what it is I need to change, and then unfold.
Well, I don't think even was like I didn't even think about changing. I just thought like I need these tactics to get her back, and I'm gonna stay as I am because I'm perfect, I was still a little not all in there. But then I started to see like what a relationship and partners are supposed to do and how wrong I was when I was a partner, Yeah. And it kind of made me want to show a better example to my kid so she doesn't make the same mistakes later on. You know what I mean? It was more of a...
And that's the hard thing about sometimes like what I do, and something I've been like grappling in my mind, right? So if you are a client of mine, this is something you need to understand too, is this program is designed to take your thinking and totally turn it up on its head kind of thing, right? Totally change it, totally revolutionize it. So the hard part is like when you come into the program sometimes thinking and expecting the program to be a certain way, like how it is like in most other programs, right? Let me teach you what to say, what to do, set some boundaries here and there. Here's the love languages. Here's all these simple tactical things that you can implement. And then hopefully those simple tactical things can basically change the course of your relationship forever. I mean, if you put it like that, it sounds ridiculous, but that's what people believe, right? People believe that. And so when they come to the program and they realize that the program is actually much deeper than that, much deeper than that, it goes to your deep subconscious, your deep things that you, the programming that you have, people start to go like, this is not what I expect. And they can either lean into it like you did, or they can balk away from it because they're still in denial about like the fact that they need to change still. You took the route of like, I want to lean into it, and you discovered a lot of things here. So let's fast forward to now. Melissa, from your genuine space, I mean, how are things like now in your point of view?
No, now they're like, honestly, they're perfect. Like, this is like what I always wanted a marriage to be. And I feel like it's like not even a lot, like that I was like asking
It's not
for.
hard. Yeah, we think it's all hard, but it's not.
Like kind of like everyone we know, I feel like we have like the most solid like relationship. Like we were just like at a birthday party, like kid's birthday party a few weeks ago, and like some like guy like asked if he could like take a picture of us because like it's so rare to see couples that actually like each other. We were like, okay.
There was a lot of toxic couples at that party. You just tell, you know. It was like pictures with a foot away, and I was like, damn, that was us. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, like we go places and it's like we hang out like we're best friends. Like
like I want to spend time.
Yeah, like people like know that we like each other. Like we genuinely have like a good time together, and
we find new things to do. You know, we're always trying to keep it like new and exciting. So it's kind of like we took a break for 10 years, 15 years, you know, didn't have a relationship, like no date nights, no nothing, you know, no like and focusing on each other like we did when we first started dating. And now we started all over again. And it's amazing, honestly. Yeah.
That's so interesting because right now we're planning our wedding. We're getting married on June 3rd. Nice. And it's funny because all the invitations that we sent out, and when we sent out the invitations, we got actually a lot of messages back saying, I wouldn't miss this for the world because like you guys are kind of like the couple that we try to emulate always. So it's always like, it's also happening to you guys where, it's so weird to be in a relationship that just shines. And for you, it seems very effortless. For you, just like, oh, this is just how things are like now. Right. But I guess this is not the reality for most people. And most people, this is a pipe dream for most people. And like you said too, creating a beautiful relationship is actually not hard. It's actually quite simple if you think about it. So for example, you could have some things like, oh, we just have to have an open communication, right? It sounds easy, but it's actually really hard to do within. Like, let's deconstruct the layers here, right? So in order for you to be able to create safety, you need to master the frameworks. And you know, in our program, it takes our clients like 3 months to master it. You need to master some bulletproof vest stuff. You need to master the antithetic thinking. You need to master state of consciousness to be able to understand and feel what people are saying. You need to master being untethered. You need to master the non-victim mindset. You need to master like the non-FAE bias. I mean, there's so many layers to it. And I think the problem with a lot of couples is that sometimes they see this ideal relationship and it seems so simple. Like, okay, we need to go out on dates and do new things, and so that we don't get so stale. We need to be able to come to a resolution about things. And because it seems so simple, they try to do it. When they can't do it, they even feel more hopeless because they're like, oh, maybe we're not meant to be. Because this simple thing that seems simple, it's so hard. But they don't realize all the internal stuff that needs to happen to make that thing seem simple. It's almost like we talk about the performance mindset. You see a basketball player doing some complex dribble moves that seem so simple. But then when you try to do it, it's really hard. And you realize that behind that 5-second move that they made is years and years and years of practice. And it has to be that way.
Then it has to, like, you have to fix all the issues before it starts to get easy. You know, I had to get down to the bottom of that, you know, well, and find that, solve all little by little problems, get to the bottom of things. And then once we started with that clean slate, now it's easy. And now I already know how to do these things. But if you always have something in there, you know, making things negative, whatever you try it and you fail, you think like, oh, it's the partners, but it's really that thing that you never solved. So it's really has to, you have to really solve that together, talk it out and learn, you know, and it's you got to listen. That's it. Listen to what the other person is talking. It sounds easy, but you always want to say everything and then throw the kitchen sink at them.
It's all that layers, which is why a lot of people say like, I know I'm supposed to do this, I know I'm supposed to do that, but I just cannot bring myself to do it. They just can't. They just don't know how. And you know, we're learning how to dance right now for the wedding, right? And Samantha showed me this video of the dance, like a 2-minute dance. Yeah, I can do this. The guy doesn't do much. He just like steps around. But I'm like, wow, even like a tiny footstep, it's like, that's actually pretty hard. Like you got to deconstruct that. Every part of your body. It's like, wow. It's almost like that too. It seems so simple from the surface until you try to do it and you realize, ooh, this is actually a lot harder. So let's talk about the moment, Ilya, when you joined the program. When you joined the program, Melissa, that made you angrier.
Yeah, I was really mad.
Why?
I know it's like a funny reaction, but because it was like this whole time, like I just wanted these like basic needs to be met. Like I just wanted someone I can depend on, someone that's like nice to me. And I've been asking him to change for years. And now it's like I like work so hard to build myself up to leave. And now he's like, oh, now I'm gonna change. So I was mad, and I was like I don't know why you like invested any money into this. Like you're not gonna change. And like I was mad that he was like doing it when I was already gone.
She thought it was like a manipulation tactic.
Yeah, I was like, what is this?
Like, this is weird. Yeah, extra weird because it's extra too nice.
Like like the first, I remember like the first thing that he did like from the program was like, I want you to tell me like all of like the things that you're mad about, like all the events that made you mad over the years and how that made you feel. And I was like, what? And I probably like talked for like well over an hour.
Easy. It like never stopped. I was like, whoa.
And I was like,
I got a lot.
Yeah, there was like a lot of things that he did. And he was like shocked. He was like, wow. Like, he was like
it because it went so deep. It went like 10 years back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like he was like not nice to me.
Wow. You know, I did a lot of messed up things. To kind of make me a little bit hopeless at first, you know, to like, where do I start from? And then I would try to start from one of those talks and try to like, you know, build a campaign around it. And I'd fail at that campaign because I really don't know how to do campaigns yet, you know? And then like, but little by little, I kept like really being meticulous about like, I would write out what I'm talking about in a campaign, right? And then I would grade myself later. How did I do? Did I hit the right topics? You know, what did I learn at that moment when I talked to her? So I remember for the next one. And little by little, I started to deconstruct stuff, you know, where it got towards the end of something. But it took her probably 6 months of being mad at me, not believing it, you know. That
6 months, wow.
Yeah. Probably more.
Probably more. How long do you think? Like 8 months?
I mean, I feel like it took 6 months for me just to like you. Like it's true. Like I couldn't like tell him I loved him. Like I didn't at the time.
Yeah. Like, I don't blame you. I wouldn't either.
And then I would get like nervous because I like had like all this like anxiety about the whole relationship that like, well, this is like what I wanted the whole time, but like I just like didn't feel it. Like I didn't feel like it like wasn't like a natural feeling. So I was like if this can't be forced, like what if like, you know?
So let's talk about that.
It's a controlling thing, you know. It's like it feels like I'm trying to control her again because like she built herself up and then she's ready to leave and I'm still doing these things. It's like I'm still attacking her, but even like more, I don't know, secretly, you know, more like spy-like almost. Like, what the hell am I trying to get out of her?
It wasn't even like I was like, because it's like he like apologized for everything for like the first time ever, which I was like, okay, like I never got like an apology before. But it was just like a true, like, I don't like you. Like, I still don't like you. Like, you did all these, like, terrible things to me. It's like, I couldn't, like, force myself.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's a feeling. It's like, it's almost like that feeling when people say, like, I don't know, I just don't love you anymore. We can try to logically try to fix it, and you can try to like logically talk myself into it, but I just don't feel it anymore. I just don't feel that spark, that thing, that trust, that I don't know, that unexplainable thing anymore.
Yeah. And like he was making and I was like afraid that it would like never come back, because it's like now you're making all these changes and like doing everything I wanted you to do to begin with. But like,
but every day you're waiting for the old Ilya to come back.
Yeah.
And be like, I got you. You know? Yeah. That's where the trust was, you know? Yeah.
So Ilya, you know, one of the things that makes me so sad sometimes is people say this, right? If I join the program, my partner will be really mad at me. It's a common thing because, and you understand why their partner would be mad, and I understand why you would be mad, Melissa. Like, if a guy says that to me and says like, I'm not gonna join this program because my partner would be really angry at me. It's like, I get it, because you probably have promised her a lot of things. You probably have given her a lot of false hope. And the reason why she's gonna be mad at this is because this is just another false hope, another thing that you're doing to try to lure her in. But it's just a temporary thing. It's just a ploy.
Yeah.
But Ilya, for you, what made you want to continue? Because a lot of men wouldn't. If they know like my partner's gonna be angry, I'm like, okay, I don't want to rock the boat anymore more than it's already rocked. But you kept going.
Well, what made me really understand that I need to keep going is that even though I could think I could get another partner after this, I'm going to make the same mistakes, you know, and I'm going to keep continuing doing the same mistakes in every relationship I keep going on, you know, because I was the issue. So I needed to fix myself now rather than 4 relationships down or, you know, whatever it is. But yeah, it's really it's really getting to the bottom. You need to hit the rock bottom to really understand that this is where you're at.
It's like the way that you were, it was like affecting just like all of his relationships in general. And I think that you were seeing that, like, you know, even if like it didn't like do our relationship any good, it like made your relationship with your mom better, you know, and like just your family, and it made you like a better worker at work. It's like all your relationships, I feel like were kind of messed up.
Yeah. I started to listen to them. That was my biggest issue. My biggest issue is
like,
I always thought I knew it all, you know. That was like, and I couldn't learn anything, and I knew better. And I would always try to talk over people, you know, like an authority, you know. And it's like usually that's the type of relationship I have with people at work, let's say, because I'm a physical therapist, right? So people come to me for medical advice, you know. So I'm always like teaching them, this is my word and this is the medical word, so they believing it. So I always thought like, you know, I could do that in every part of my life, but in reality, now I'm more of a listener, you know. Now I like to pay attention to the little things in people and stuff like that. So yeah, it definitely just made myself a little bit better with everybody, you know, a lot better, yeah, with everybody.
Yeah, I think a lot of clients who eventually join despite the fact that their partner's mad, and then once they join, they eventually find that, you know what, once we actually make the changes, my partner isn't mad anymore. My partner's mad at her thinking that this is another ploy, but once she realizes it's not a ploy, that's fine. But it's almost like this notion of whatever path you choose, you lose pretty much. Let's say at that point in time, you looked at this program and you said, that's going to make my partner really mad. I'm going to back out of here. I don't want to make her even more angry. You would have lost big time on everything you have now, right? On everything you could be. And she would be mad at you, not for not joining the program, but for something else. Because the problems still exist, right?
Yeah.
If you join, yes, she'll be mad. She'll be mad about the program, but one hard leads nowhere. The other hard leads somewhere, kind of thing. So which one do you want? Both sides are hard. It's hard either way. Something people to think about there.
Like also, it's especially for people that have like children, like even if like the relationship doesn't work out, it's like you still need to be able to be kind of like friends with that person and be able to be civilized with them and not have like all this animosity, you know, because you still have to co-parent. Like you don't want that to be bad. Like,
but a lot of people continue that animosity too, though, you know. That toxicity will always stay there, and it's like the kid's stuck in the middle. That's what I see now with a lot of people. And it's so sad, you know. Like the kids are actually having like nervous breakdowns and stuff like that. It's so sad, you know?
Yeah. I want to talk about this spark that this worry that you were worrying about, Melissa, which was I I just didn't feel like I can love this guy anymore. I don't know what it is. I cannot really pinpoint and say, it's not like a math equation. I can say like, oh, that's the part of the equation that's wrong. You couldn't even pinpoint it. You couldn't even define what that love was, I think, in your own mind, but you just weren't feeling it. And you were scared that you could never feel it. And I think this is what a lot of men worry about is, if I go through this journey of becoming the best version of myself, what is to say? Because we live in a society where we are told once the spark is gone, once that love is gone, that's gone. Like you can never really get it back. But here you are, you always have gotten back and more. So tell me about that fear that you had initially about, can I even get it back?
I mean, I don't know. It was just like, there was just so much like hatred and like so much like anger. And then it was like, it was like months into it. And he was like very clearly making these like changes, and it was like great. But like, it's like still, it's like, this is like what I wanted the whole time, you know? Like if this was like 6-7 years ago, like it would have been so easy. But it's like, I was like, I felt so like broken inside and everything, like from everything.
She always kept saying like, why couldn't this be a year back? Why does it have to be now?
Yeah,
you know?
like it
Why
was just
couldn't
so,
this be
it was just
6
so
months
far
back?
and
Why did you have to wait till the last minute?
And
know?
it's like I really wanted to like get that back, because it's like I wanted us to have like a good marriage and just like a good family, and for like our daughter to have like a good family structure. But it's like I couldn't do it if like I really didn't feel it. And like it's just, it wasn't like a feeling I could force. It came just over time and with like mostly his effort. Like I really didn't change. Like
well, that's what I actually learned that, you know, it's not about her changing, it's about me changing. Like I can't make another person change. Like I could only change myself, you know, and you know, it's a lot better as long as I can see, because I could change myself easily, you know, and once I could do that, then I could maybe show her how to do it by example. Maybe she will like it, maybe she won't. Maybe it'll take years for her to like understand how to do it herself. But that's not the point. The point is not to make her change. The point is to make me change, you know. And I think that's why people are also a lot of suspicious about this course, because you do it on your own, you know. A lot of courses, you go to counseling together. You go to a seminar together. All these couples things are done, counseling things done together. So when a person is doing it on their own, you know, first of all, that they're like suspicious, like, what are they plotting against me over there that I don't understand, that it's involving me? Are they talking bad about me the whole time? You know, stuff like that. So I think that's what actually makes them a little bit uneasy, is that I can do this myself, you know? Yeah.
And it's funny you say that, because like none of the program, like we paint your partner in such a beautiful light kind of thing, right? We like, we never talk bad about your partner any way. And the thing we always say is like, and people don't understand this, right, is, Melissa, I think if you actually were honest with yourself too, and you allowed yourself to just like brag about yourself a little bit, you would see that you actually changed a lot too.
So I think we were talking about this in the car last night. I think like the one big thing that like did change is like, because like I said, it took me a while to build myself up to realize that I could like, I don't need him. I could be on my own. And I still like don't feel like I need him, but like I want to be with him now. Like I genuinely, like this is like what I want. But I know that if it went the other way, like I'd be fine.
Yeah.
And I probably became like a better communicator too. You know, I just like followed his cues. And
well, it's like, it was like psychological training I did over all those years, you know, for her to like not speak up, not, you know, so it's like deep inside, she's always stuck with that, you know, so it took a while for her to like understand, like she can share whatever, you know, she could share anything. It doesn't matter what it is. I'm not going to overreact, you know?
Yeah. It's like also like an internal change. It's like before, it's like I was always so stressed out, and like I like everything felt like very catastrophic. But now it's like when things like come up, like financial things or like things with like Maya, like it's like I'm not so anxious or stressed anymore, because I know it's like whatever it is, like we'll figure it out together. Like I'm not like alone.
Yeah. It's funny because I think even now, Melissa, you're still thinking about the macro, right? But let's think about the micro changes you made. You know, so for example, we always say in the program, you can't change people, but you can change the environment that eventually changes people in so many nuanced, tiny, unexplainable ways. For example, my partner, when I first met her, she was one of the things I really got angry at her about was she was really childish. She was really selfish. And it's always like her against me, her against the world, what she wanted, what she cared about, not caring about the unit kind of thing. And we always fought about that in the beginning. And I always had the same narrative like you earlier, which was like, no, you need to fix this. You need to fix this. But in the years that I thought you need to fix this, and she was saying the same thing about me, you need to fix this, we never fixed anything. In fact, it got worse. The moment when everything changed was when I said to myself, like, okay, instead of focusing on what she needs to fix, let me focus on what I need to fix. Right. And so I looked at what was my contribution to this loop. And let me stop my loop. I don't really care if she stops her loop or not. I don't really bother about that. How can I do it to fix mine? And once I fixed that, I fixed the environment that I was creating, what I was exuding changes. Over the years, she starts to change dramatically to the point where last night I was hanging out with my groomsmen till about 11 p.m. And I came home and she's like, hey, Jeff, I organized your closet for you. I organized this for you. She's like, did so many things. I was like, wow. Like, of all the things you could do, you choose to do that. And like, she's the most loyal, the most like family oriented, the most unit oriented, the most like selfless. It's night and day. And I'm not saying like I was the one who changed the environment, but it's like, no, it's a slow progression, but it starts, the catalyst has to be someone, both of you going, I need to see inside, or one of you going, I need to see inside first. And so, Melissa, for you, and I think Ilya, I don't want to put too much in your mouth here, but even the subtle like word choices, the tones that you choose to use, Melissa, when you have conversations, the way you look at Ilya, the loving way you look at him, the small tiny things you do, that just makes it so much easier for Ilya to do to
those little feedback loops.
The feedback loop, These are tiny things. And I'm sure now, if there was like a recording on your face back then versus now, whenever you had tough conversations, there will be night and day difference, right? Subtle things, the subtle cues that you're giving off.
Way less resistance.
Like conversations in general just aren't like hard anymore.
Because before I'd always be pulling it out of her, you know, she was always afraid to tell the truth because of how I was before, you know, but now it's like the first thing is the truth, not like the fifth one after, you know? So it's a lot easier to have these. And of course, like she gives me positive vibes, I give her, it's like constant feedback with me. It might not, it's not major things where she has to completely change, but overall she did change, you know? And I did change too. So it's a beautiful thing.
So for people who don't believe this, like it takes two to tango thing, people always say that it takes two to tango, and you're still waiting for your partner to do something before you're willing to do something. You're kind of missing the whole point of this journey. And you're kind of like robbing yourself of this compound interest effect, I guess. This starts with just you. It's like, if you look at this in investing terms, right? It's like, if you compound, let's say 10% every year, you can get a lot of money after 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. But then if you keep telling yourself like, no, I'm not even going to invest because it's only 10%. I'm only losing on 10%. And you never invest. It's like you stay flatline forever. Then eventually that gap of where you should be or where you could be versus where you are starts to go apart further and further and further every time. And the funny thing is like the person who didn't invest, the unfortunate thing is they will never know what they missed out on. They will never know. They'll just live life thinking like, this is where I am and where the best that I could be. The same way, if you never took this path, and Melissa, you never took the path of like committing, you would be in a very different life right now, and you wouldn't have no idea what you missed out on. And that's the hard part. It's like
it'd still be better, you know, it'd still be better inside.
And you trick yourself into believing that the mediocre you have is like good. That's the hard part. It's like, oh, what a shame, you know?
It is a shame. It is a shame. People go on living their whole lives like that, and it just makes everything in their life toxic, and they still think the other person's the problem, or they have to do it first. You know, why do I have to do it? It's just, if you just swallow that pride and you just say, listen, whatever it is, let me just do it. It's so much easier from there on out, you know. But people do that for years. That's what I was afraid of, to be like this, like be 80 years old, because I see the 80-year-old patients in my place, right, where like the man and the wife come in and they're still bickering at each other, you know, to the point where like they hate each other's guts, you know, but they're together every day. And like that, I was afraid of that because like that's so toxic, you know, you're together
like a
lifetime and you're always hating the closest people to you. You know, these are the people that are the closest in this world. Like you might have like 10, 20 people in this life and you're being really the meanest to them. You might be more, friendlier with a stranger you never met. And here are these people that are supposed to be the closest to you and you're the rudest to them.
Yeah.
You know, it's the most
it's crazy to think about.
It is because it's like when you get married, like that person is supposed to be like your life partner, you know, like the person that you like number one depend on.
Right.
So to go so for a while, like we weren't that. Like if I was like in trouble or if I needed something, like I would call like my dad first. Like I wouldn't even think to call him. Like he wasn't even listed as like an emergency contact.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just crazy because it's like that's like what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
You know, like why like live and it's like miserable.
Close people in your life,
live your whole life like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the hardest part again is like the denial, the lies that people tell themselves, right? So I'm sure you have this issue too, and I have this issue big time because I'm surrounded by people who are having bad marriages, bad relationships, and sometimes like I look at the way they do things, the way they think. Because when people do something bad to their partners, you have to tell yourself a lot of narratives to justify what you did. The same way you did. Both of you did that. And so the hard part is like, here, there's another way to do it. For example, you see someone playing victim and you see someone blaming their partner a lot. You know the value and what can happen when you stop doing that, when you just look inside. But what combination of words can you tell that person who is so convinced of their own lie that they tell themselves that this is the right way to do, that they have every right to think and feel and do this thing? What can you say? You know, that's a hard part. It's like, how can you wake someone up?
It's very hard, you know, like I personally like, you know, see people in relationship issues and I try to like tell them the program, you know, like do this, do that. And no, they can't see it. They'll always be like, no, why does Y have to do it? He should go do it, you know? And it's like, they don't understand that they're just as much of a problem, you know, as the other person. But it's like, so just be the bigger person, just do it, you know? But like many people cannot, you know, and they continue it. And it's sad. Like you could only tell them so long, you know, but you know what the right thing for them to do, but they will never do it, you know? They just haven't hit their rock bottom.
They haven't hit the rock bottom because
they haven't hit that rock
I understand it because like if I transform myself back to when I was like 20, 19 or whatever it is, and even like if I were to come up with this perfect program to tell you like, okay, this will fix your life forever, I'd be like, bullshit. I don't want to put in the work for that because I don't see anything wrong. I don't see anything wrong with me.
Yeah.
You're telling me there's something wrong with me. I don't see it.
Mm-hmm.
Until who they are leads them to rock bottom. Then they go, okay, I cannot deny this anymore. I cannot lie to myself anymore. Like I cannot live in La La Land anymore. This is not good, right?
Yeah. And now I just let them hit that rock bottom. Now I just say, wait, you know, when you're ready, come by. I'll let you know.
People have to realize on their own.
Yeah, they gotta hit. That's what it is. You could tell them as long as you want. You're absolutely right, and they gotta get to realize it themselves.
By themselves.
Yeah.
Like sometimes, like I get some people asking for advice. Like, Jeff, can you give us some advice for our relationship? And I tell them like, are you sure you want my advice? Because if I give you my advice, I'm gonna be very harsh on you. I'm not gonna be your friend anymore, right? I'm gonna tell you things about you that you would hate about yourself. You would get angry at me for. You would find very uncomfortable because I'm going to talk about you and your flaws and things about you that's messed up. I'm not going to tell you like, oh, go find someone else or, oh, go get her to do this, right? I'm going to tell you like, you're fucked up. Like you gotta get your shit together.
But it's true, you know, people want to hear that. Oh, let's talk about them. But it's, you know, it's me, the problem. I got to talk about myself.
Only you can do it. Yeah. So then another thing we talk about, Melissa, in our program is what we call the I don't want to use this word, but like the paradox of change. Is when, let's say, Ilya was starting to change and do things differently. Ilya, you're a floating head right now.
Oh yeah, you're.
That's funny.
We just like didn't want everyone to see like our natural behind us.
So whenever Ilya was starting to change, I think there's a big part of you, Melissa, that was very suspicious of that, right?
Yeah.
And here's the way I describe it, right? It's like, let's say you've been living this life where Ilya does a bunch of promises, gets your hopes up, then you realize, oh, it's not real. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just saying it because he knows he should say it, not because he means it. So your hope comes crumbling back down again. Then he says, once your hope comes from coming back down again, he brings it back up with something else, another tactic, down, up, down. And I think if you feel this for over decades, you start to say to yourself, okay, fool me 50 times. I'm really dumb to be fooled 50 times. Like, there's no freaking way I'm going to fall for this again. And so you, as a matter of principle for yourself, for you to even maintain the trust that you maintain for yourself, you have to say, I'm out. And this time, no matter what, I'm out. And I think that's a certainty. The certainty is like proving to yourself that you're not going to be lied to anymore. Is that kind of what went on in your head as well? If it's not, it's fine.
Probably, yeah. Like that's what you didn't believe in what I was saying, you know?
Right.
Like you thought this was another manipulation, and
well, yeah,
we
like
were done, you know?
Yeah.
It took so much courage, so much strength for her to say that, you know? So it's of course.
Yeah. Like no, like in my head, like I was done. Like
And you were pissed.
Yeah, and I was, is that like, am I answering the question right? Like
Yeah.
like yeah, like I already like spoke to like divorce, like I was just done. Like I told him to like leave, like take all his stuff, which like he did, and that was it. There was like it seemed like there was like no turning back from there.
Yeah. And I understand that feeling because my partner went through that as well. When I started to like change the way I talked, the way I thought, the way I felt subsequently as well about things, the way I interpreted things you say, the things that happen in the relationship. She told me at one point, like, stop sounding like a therapist to me. Like, stop talking like that. That's not you. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Right. You used to
got
talk
the
a lot.
Yeah, it was like he was always like analyzing everything I said, and I was like, "Can you just like?" And then he's like, "But like, what do you mean by that?" Like, it would be like, "I like ice cream," and he'd be like, "Tell, what do you mean?" And I'm like, "I mean."
That's when I was just starting to learn the framework.
Yeah, it's like everything
I didn't have that many antithetic questions back then, you know? It was like, be like, why? Oh, why?
Yeah, it's like everything had to be like spoken about, and some things I was like, why do we have to like keep talking about this?
Yeah. Yeah. And my partner even said too, like, okay, great, you're changing, change for someone else, change for your next partner, not me. I don't want to deal with this right now. I mean, there's so many of the usual things that I got too. And I can also understand, Melissa, why you would say that, because I understand why my partner said that to me, because again, you have this suspicion of like, dude, I'm not buying it. I'm sorry, I'm just not buying this thing.
Yeah.
I don't buy the intention of why you're doing this. I don't buy that this is you. I don't buy you understand why this is valuable. I don't buy that when you ask why, it's not to ask why to actually discover my point of view. It's so that you want to get me to say something that you can use against me later. Or you want to pick off like a thing that I say and use it as a branching point to say your piece later on or whatever. I don't know what.
No, but you know what it is? That it was that time I untethered and I was actually telling her that this is for my next relationship. This is not for us right now. I was saying, like, listen, I just don't want to mess up in the next relationship. So can we just like go over what I did wrong so I don't mess this, you know? So in her head, she was already won, you know. She was like, okay, I'm leaving regardless. This is not to get me back. I mean, of course, she was still suspicious, you know, but it was that untethering that really kind of kept me pushing along, not getting stuck in that fakeness. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. Another example I like to use, Melissa, is like, imagine you are like a experimenter, right? The goal of your experiment is you want to understand what does your participants do when they think no one's watching, right? They think no one's watching. Like, I want to see them at their natural element. When nothing is contrived, when like, what do they do when they're not nudged in any way direction? What's their default?
Right.
Like, I think you were. And I think you were trying to find that out too. What is Ilya's default, right? If, let's say, you run an experiment in this supposed example, and you say, okay, you are being watched on how fast you can type, for example, and how focused you can be. What would they do? Everyone would be like, okay, let me put on my best behavior. I could be ADD. I could be whatever. I could be like really unfocused as a person. But for this experiment, because I know the goal is to be focused, let me focus. Let me put on my best behavior. But you as a scientist, you look at that and you go like, okay, I'm getting some data, but I can't trust it. Because I told them what the goal is. They're doing it to play well in this game that I defined, right? So if you were an experimenter, what would you do? You would say, okay, you would kind of like distract them away a bit, right? You would say, okay, you're being measured on how much you focus, make them think that's what they're being measured on. And then you say, okay, test over, go to the other room, please, and mingle with the other people. And when you say it's over and go mingle, that's when the actual experiment begins. Right? That's when you can watch someone. And so I think subconsciously, like every partner I talk to, they always kind of do the same thing where it's not like they're going in their heads going like, okay, let me make this super hopeless for them. Let me devise this thing so that I can see who they are. But it's almost like if you can look at 100 things that Ilya did, and the 99 things you can see he did was like, I can see why he would try to act his best here because of XYZ reason. You would dismiss the 99 things. Like, whatever, I don't care. I don't care how many nice things he does at that point. I know he's trying to play the game here. But if there's one instance you can see where he's like, you're like, I don't see it. Like, legit, this person thinks it's over. There's no hope. I'm not coming back. But yet, he still does these things that are quite admirable. And he does this time and time again. And that's when you slowly get that trust back.
Yeah, it's like once I started seeing him like do things that I used to have to like force him to do, like just like on his own, like then I think I started like believing it again. Like one day he just came back and was like, oh, I got my driver's license back. And I was like, I've been like, it's like I was like over that, you know? I was like asking him to do that for like years, and like just like stuff like just like being just like more responsible and in general. And
I think anti-thetic thinking helped me now. Whatever I thought was I did not like, I did not want to do, I did that the first moment I got. Good. So it's like as soon as I like I don't want I hate driving. I was like, okay, let me go get my license back. I hate doing this. I hate doing dishes. Let me go do dishes. I hate doing that. And then little by little, she started to see that this is not fake. Like, I wasn't doing it for her. I was doing it for myself more, So in a way,
because it was like all things that like as an adult, like
you should be doing.
Of course. Yes.
Like Lily doesn't have a driver's license.
But it was spite. You know what? The driver license things, for example, was a spiteful thing because like she wanted me to drive, right? But like I was like, I'm gonna drive with a suspended license. So who the hell are you to tell me if I can't drive with a suspended license? And if you don't want me to drive with a suspended license, you drive fine, So it's like
and I it was a really
like little spiteful thing.
Because like, oh, what do we need? Like more trouble.
Right.
Are you guys still in New York?
Yeah.
So like people don't drive cars there, everybody, right?
But we're in Brooklyn.
Yeah, we're in Brooklyn.
Oh, so yeah, okay, yeah.
You need a car. Like especially if you have like a kid. It's like I was always like any transportation she needed was on me. Like if we were going on a road trip, I was like driving there and back, and like this one, he didn't even stay awake in the car. He would just like
me and the kid would be sleeping in the
back. And it would be like, like for his your family stuff. Like I was just always the driver.
And that was the thing that was making her do masculine routines. So of course she wasn't, I was the feminine in that situation. She's the masculine driving, and little by little, she's doing all the manly things. So why does she even need a man? You know what I mean? So it's like, I had to like realize that like these dynamics, I have to like understand what's my part, what's her part. I should be doing this,
Yeah. So I want to give people like a quick recap so far of what we talked about, right? So the first takeaway is like, okay, when your partner tells you it's hopeless, okay, and you give up right at that moment, or you give up because you think she's gonna be angry when you join the program, whatever it is, all you're doing is you're just giving her extra reasons to go like, I made the freaking right decision. This guy doesn't even understand why he needs to change. This guy doesn't even understand his flaws. This guy doesn't even understand anything about anything right now. He's just wanting to play this game, to win this game, but that's precisely why I don't trust him. So understand that when you give up, when you back down at that point, that's the worst time to back down. And when your partner tells you it's hopeless, that's like the experimenter going, okay, test is over. Now I'm going to really watch you. That's when she's really watching you. Because Melissa, even when you said it's over, I'm done, there was still a big part of you at the back somewhere that's like watching Ilya. Like you can't just shut off and go like, whatever, out. Like you spent decades with this guy, like years with this guy. You can't just shut off. You're watching him, right? If he backed down at that point, if he says like, okay, whatever, screw it, I don't want to change anymore. Screw it. It's like then he's like, okay,
it's like that
I was
right.
What I yeah,
the aha moment. Yeah,
I was right.
Never gave her that aha. Never went back to that.
Yeah. So that's the moment when it starts. Actually, when your partner says to you it's over, that's when it starts. Remember that. That's when it starts, and it doesn't take two to tango because again, it starts with you. When you can change the environment changes the behavior slightly. Their change in behavior will make it easier for you to change your behavior, etc., etc., etc. And just like how if you ask most couples, right, how did your relationship got to where it is? You can't say because it's a death by 1,000 cuts kind of thing. It's like asking someone like, like it's a flywheel effect thing, right? Let's say you have a big flywheel and you keep spinning it faster and faster every single day. And someone asks you, whoa, your flywheel is spinning so fast. How'd you get it spinning so fast? Which spin was it? What do you mean? It's all of them. It's not just one, it's all of them, right? So the same thing is like the degradation is not just one thing, it's all of them combined together, this feedback loop going downhill. The same way, the feedback loop going uphill. So if you are currently feeling like you've lost that spark, you've lost that magic, the unexplainable magic, and you don't see how this process can get you up there, understand that like you're not supposed to see it. You're not supposed to see it. There is none. There's no perfect spin kind of thing. It's just you gradually do it. But then whenever we have interviews like you or anyone else, we always ask a question, right? Couldn't you believe 1 year ago, can you believe that you could be here today? Both of them.
No.
There's no way. The same way.
I don't think anyone could have.
Yeah.
Like
nobody. Yeah. The same way, like when you were getting married and you were in the dips, when I asked you in the dips, could you imagine when you got married that you could be here today? Of course you would say no.
Right.
The same way, when you're here and you looked here and I asked you here, could you believe it? Of course, no. But like you said, Ilya, it needs to be a process. It needs to be a slow process. You just got to do the work. You just got to trust the work. And eventually you will see, oh my God, we've come so far kind of thing. Yeah.
Beautiful thing.
Yeah. You have to understand too, guys, we're going to uncharted territory, right? Meaning when this is not like, I know I use the climbing mountain analogy, right? This is not like climbing a mountain where the path is already set. Like, you know exactly what checkpoint 1 looks like, checkpoint 2 looks like, checkpoint 3 looks like, etc. Here it's like you're at checkpoint 1. You're not even checkpoint 1 yet. You don't even know what checkpoint 1 looks like. And you are not going through the process because you can't see all the exact checkpoints laid out for you. It's like, dude, just do it and you will see all the checkpoints as you go. That's the thing about life, right? You never see where you're going.
It's hard to exactly pinpoint, when you get there. You might get taken 30 different other ways. Exactly. But that's the beauty of it, So then you just got to start. Once you start, it's true. That's it.
That's it. And that's how you slowly get that spark back, get all the little things back. And the progression, though, is not a linear thing, like we were talking about. It's often like when you change, people are actually going to resist you more. Then they will believe you. But then when you get here, and you change to the next level, people are going to doubt that one. And same thing. It's like, so when I was starting my business, for example, and I said, I'm going to quit my job as a data scientist to become a relationship coach. Everyone was like, are you sure, dude? Have you gone fucking insane? Like, what's wrong? Like, right? everyone resisted, right?
Yeah.
Then eventually they caught up and say like, okay, I understand who you are. This is who you are right now, right? Then now I'm gonna say I'm in a part of my life where I'm like, I'm gonna become from this. I'm gonna become an investor. People go like, are you sure, man? Are you sure? And more resistance, but like it always like that. So if you're so tethered to your outcomes, to your partner, for example, and let's say you start to change the way you talk, right? You start to be more curious, and your partner says, "Sometimes sound like a therapist." And if you're so tethered, if you're so not bulletproof that you cannot take that, you cannot interpret that, and you see that as a loss, you just took progress and you said, "No, I'm not cut out for that." Basically, like your partner needs to go through that moment of like suspicion, and you have to keep going, because if you give up at that point, that's when her suspicions become true. It's like, yeah, I knew it. You don't have a good idea behind this kind of thing.
Those lows got to make you fight even harder.
Right. Which is why we have the thriving mindset. A lot of people don't understand that the untethering. That's so crucial. So yeah, this is for you. I got this comment the other day, right? And it said, why does it always have to be the man who does the work? The women have flaws too. Jeff, you are creating a culture of simps, where the men just have to keep accepting that it's their mistake, and they always have to grovel at the woman's feet.
That's not true. Yeah, that's not true.
Well, like I'm sure in your life, even like when people see your journey, where you say, for example, earlier, I want to look within and so see my own flaws. I'm sure there's a lot of viewers right now who thinks, what a fucking simp.
Of course.
What would you?
Many people do. Many people do look at me like, what? You said that? Like, they can't believe it. Like, what? Like, most people want to play the high value man card and just run with it, But to sit there, listen, take it, like, be cold like a child or whatever, like, that's not a simp thing to do. You got to listen to her, you got to listen to hear your partner, what they're saying. It's not about you speaking, and about you telling things.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you have to create this together. And once you kind of get down to their level, to the other person's level, then you can, be equals and make something out of it. But if you're always going to be the higher value and you're just going to tell, it's going to stay the same, So you pick your poison.
It's a funny thing because Melissa, if I were to ask you, right? So there's an old Ilya who's like very macho, tries to be too macho.
Yeah.
Tells the world like it is, talks over people, never admits his own mistakes because he's perfect, right? He can't have mistakes. He's perfect.
That's good.
And versus now, where he's actually like owning up to his mistakes, etc. As a woman, as a human being, with Ilya, obviously you respect the new Ilya more.
Oh, like, yeah, 1,000%.
1,000%. You look up to him, right? You look up to him, you respect him. Why do you think you respect someone who can actually like look within and go like, this is my fault, admit that? Why is that so much more respectable, you think?
It just like shows like maturity and like that the person's like a good person. Like it was just so immature what he was doing before. So it's just like it shows like a lot of growth and maturity and like this person is someone I can talk. And that's like really I think what like women want. Oh, it got so blurry. I feel like that's like what people want like in a relationship. And like everything is just better now. Like I wasn't even like attracted to him anymore. Like now I am. Like it's just more attractive.
Yeah. To me,
so you actually have a partner to talk to,
Yeah, to talk to. But to me, it's also like I respect people who is able to look at the reality of who they are. Because like what we're saying is that we're not like saying like, oh, nothing is your partner's fault, everything is your fault. Even though it's your partner's fault, everything is yours. No, we're saying like, let's look at the objective reality here. What is your 100% contribution to the 50%? That's it. I'm not denying that your partner has 50%, but what is your contribution, right? And I have a lot of respect for people in general, men or women, whatever gender now, right? Who can look at those things, the reality of their pros and cons, the reality of what they're good at, what they're shitty at, the reality of their flaws. Look at their inner demons here.
Mhm.
And look at that, be fearless and go, I look at that, I can look at it dead in the eyes, admit to the world that I have that, and I can fix it.
And like,
Versus,
it makes
yeah,
people look smarter.
smarter, yeah, more
Yeah,
mature,
like,
smarter.
yeah.
Yeah. If you could,
And I think to me,
Mhm.
like some men, like these some men, right? They can't even confront their own mistakes. They can't even confront and admit their own flaws. And in my head, I'm thinking, you are so fucking weak.
Mhm.
You are so fucking insecure. You're so weak. You're so ungrounded. You're so immature that you can't even look at something that is actually the reality. That you have to make up this fantasy reality to tell yourself that you're perfect because you cannot even confront the fact that you're not perfect. That is
Mhm.
sad. That is the
Mhm.
definition of a simp for me. Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
so weak.
If you can't, like, look into yourself, how could you look into others? You know what I mean?
That's true too, right?
But,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then like I feel like when like people are just like, oh, like I'm perfect, like I can't change. It's just like they sound stupid.
They sound stupid.
Like you're not
stupid.
like no one's perfect.
Yeah.
Perfection is
Yeah.
not the goal.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's what I also learned throughout this whole time. Perfection is
Perfection
not.
not the goal. And if someone tells me they're perfect, I know by definition they're not perfect because this is what happens, right? If you think you're perfect, you will take feedback and you will see it as an attack. You will reject feedback. Not only that, when you reject feedback enough, you will eventually live this life where everyone is going to be so afraid to give you feedback in the first place.
Mhm.
So increasingly, you will live in this la la land of thinking you are more and more perfect because no one has ever given me good feedback. No one even dares to give me feedback, so I must be perfect. And so that ego grows and grows and grows, but actually you're just stagnant the whole time. Like you're just becoming
Lunacy,
more and
right?
more
Yeah.
unaware of your mistakes and your flaws. You know?
Yeah.
That was
It's
me.
true. Yeah, like when I like went on for that like hour and a half
That's
and like
lunacy.
and told him like everything, and they were like major things. Like he was like, "Wow," he's like, "I was like a monster." I'm like, "Yeah, basically."
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to end on this big topic of the infidelity for a bit.
Yeah.
I have always asserted that infidelity is not a black and white thing. Because a lot of people want to make this a black and white thing and say, if you cheated on someone in a marriage, that's your fault, period. I don't care what your reasons are.
I just want to throw that in.
Right.
Like, I don't care what your reasons are. I don't care how unhappy you were. Like, that is not okay. You need to get a divorce first and then you cheat or whatever. People say whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess, Melissa, let me start with you. Why did you?
Oh, I think I was just like bored and like basic like needs weren't being met. Like I had moved from Long Island, like around like New York City to like the middle of like fucking nowhere, like just to be with him. So because he was in school there, like I missed him, and I was like I was like basically I was like left like on my own. Like I had like he had friends because he was like in this like full-time grad school class. I had like nobody, and he was like, I get it, he had to like study, but then like on the weekends he would go snowboarding and like go with like his friends, and he was just like never around, like never gave me like the time of day. And then I found someone who did, and it was just like a basic thing, like I didn't have to beg for like attention. Just like a little bit of attention.
Yeah.
Like it just came. So I was like, all right. Like and he didn't even notice because it's like that's how like little time we would spend. Like I felt so guilty. Like I had to just like come out and tell him. Like he didn't even like notice. Like
so obviously
it was like at the point where I didn't even think he would be mad because it just I felt like he didn't care about the relationship. Like I was surprised that he was like so like upset.
That I did care.
Like how did you find out, and what was your initial thoughts and the way you interpreted it that made you so bittered?
I was just like, the biggest victim of this whole world. How could she do this to me? Blah, blah, blah. I was just made her into this monster in my head that's just, manipulating people and just trying to cause harm, and hurt me. Um, never really understanding like, okay, what was the environment around her at that moment,
Yeah.
like how she says right now, like, I wasn't around, this and that. I didn't even think of that, it was just all the trying to label her and try to make her into a monster in my head and like, spin
Yeah.
this out of proportion rather than coming back down to earth and being like, okay, what was missing? How can I give that to her? Is that something I can give? And if not, I understand.
And then even like after that, because like this was like we were very young when this happened. Like probably we were like I was like 25. It was like before we were married. So I think we were just like very like young and like immature and like I felt like so guilty and bad after, like, it wasn't the right thing to do. Like I wouldn't like condone it. But like even after that, like nothing changed. Like I didn't cheat again because it's like I didn't want to feel so guilty. But like nothing changed after that. It was like never really spoken about.
Yeah, we kind of brushed it under.
Like when he told me like when we were like going through like the divorce, like it all like crumbled down to that. I was like, what? I was like, but we like got married after that. Like, I was shocked.
Yeah. But the issues were just like always there, but never spoken about.
Like it happened. We moved back to Brooklyn and then got married.
Because like every time I would speak about it, she would always feel guilty, be apologetic and shut down. So there was no point to speak to her about it because like it's not. I'm just gonna make her cry, in the end feel bad, and then nothing's changing. So, but deep down, I never trusted her. I always thought like this person's against me. She's like, because I never got down to the bottom of what the cheating. I didn't even think about like why did she cheat. Zero thought.
I'm gonna give you a list of like reasons that I often hear why men get so angry when they find out about infidelity, and they cannot look outside. They cannot look outside themselves. They can only like stick in their blame mentality, right? So all you have to do is like check when it checks for you. Okay. Number one, it's a huge hit on your ego because here's a person who is seeking fulfillment somewhere else.
Yes.
And you're thinking to yourself, what do you mean? I'm a great guy. Why the fuck would you go somewhere else? Right? And you couldn't confront the fact that something wrong with you.
Right.
How can there be anything wrong with me? Right?
I'm a great catch. Yeah.
I'm a great catch.
Yeah.
Second thing is around, of course, this also affects how you get pictured with your friends, with people around you.
Yes.
Right? You are the guy who cannot give your wife enough satisfaction that they went outside.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, third reason is also like your friends are telling you all these narratives about, oh, she cheated, that's her. She's messed up. She's the one that's messed up. Dude.
Dump her.
Yeah, dump her, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Fourth reason is you worry about this thing in your mind. It's like, how can I trust her again? Once a cheater, always a cheater. How can I ever trust her again?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
All check?
Check, yeah. Always looking at like, is she trying to hurt me right now? Yeah, check.
Yeah.
For sure, no.
Yeah. And then last one is, I'm unhappy. I'm in the same relationship and I never went that far.
Check. Yeah. Sure. Equal play. Yes.
Okay. So what changed? Like, you have the 5 things. What changed eventually in your mind to make you go see like, okay, this thing that I found so unforgivable in the beginning, this thing that I was so angry at in the beginning, this thing that I couldn't get over, that I carried with me, the resentment for years and years. And you joined the program and then you finally like let that go. What were the key shifts in here that made you like let that go?
Well, one of the key shifts was the one you spoke about in the program, where it was like, if say the your partner and the other person are cheating, right? You should have so much zero animosity towards them, to the point where you can sit in the same living room across each other and ask about their day, and and be like cordial and speak, maybe find out what she likes about him, which was like mind-blowing to me. Completely opposite of what my friend said, like, you should kill him right there on the spot or something like that, Yeah. And control it. So like once I started to realize like what the right way to deal with infidelity was, that you got to just figure out what she found attractive in him, what was the environment around her during that time. And if you could agree with it and you can understand that it wasn't the person themselves that did it, but it was everything around that actually caused her to do it. And that I would do the same thing as if I was her, you know, have that empathy. Then I started to realize, okay, so let me ask her, like, what was the environment? I found out, you know, last year of grad school, of course. And then, like, you know, I found out, like, you know, he was giving her, like, I completely abandoned her, you know, somebody giving her attention. So is that hard? Is that something I can't give to her? I could give her attention, you know, I could set up an environment that's more pleasant. So it's not something that is making, she's always going to cheat. Like, I understood that it was something I did. I can fix what I did. And then, you know, we could have a normal relationship, you know, where we're both into each other and not looking for outside.
So just to recap what Ilya said here is like, we actually tell our clients, when you find your partner's cheating on you, don't get angry at that. In fact, lean into it and go like, okay, tell me more about this guy, because I want to learn. This guy obviously is giving you something that I haven't been giving you. I mean, it's clear. How can I start to understand what that is so I can actually learn how to give that? And I want to, and a lot of people are going to have objections to that. So I want to build off this argument here to Melissa again, because you said something interesting, which is, I didn't think Ilya would give a shit. Because
I really didn't. Yeah.
Yeah, because like a lot of people see infidelity as like the action, the defining action. It's like that is the ultimate sign of betrayal, right? But the truth is, Ilya, you have betrayed Melissa a long time before even Melissa had the infidelity moment, or long before.
And my actions got her there. Yes.
Yeah, like you left the relationship. You betrayed the relationship. You betrayed your covenant a long time ago by the way you act, by your denial. A long time ago. And that was a big realization that I made as well. It's like, that made me see finally for the first time in my life, like problems in relationships, even though, yes, your partner did something really, like the worldly definition would say like it's bad, it's not always that black and white, right? You cannot push someone. And when you push someone hard enough, they finally get angry, for example, and then say like, oh, I knew it, you have temper issues. You cannot do that. You cannot just keep pushing, and then when they break, you blame them for breaking. Like, you cannot do that, right? And for me, the moment I realized that was my partner said, like, I think you see this a lot in the program, right? It's like, Jeff, I have one life, just like you. I have dreamt about my relationship, my future, for my entire childhood, teenagehood, and early adulthood, and when I was an early adult. And here I am with this person who does not give me any fulfillment whatsoever. Not only that, he's so much in denial about that. So in my life, I can only have a couple of options here. I can either accept the fact that, so my life will always be the shit. So all these dreams that I formed when I was a kid, forget it. Okay? That's one choice I have. I lose there. Second choice is I leave, or I try to find it somewhere else outside the relationship, and I get painted a villain all my life. That's my second choice. Or I leave, and I get painted a villain in a different way for leaving all my life. And I have to deal with the consequences of co-parenting, all these things, all my life. And I have to taint all my future relationships because of what happened in this relationship all my life. All my choices are shit right now. What would you do? And she asked me that, what would you do? And I was like, you know what? I've been saying infidelity is the biggest sin that ever happens in a relationship. But you know what? I think we just discovered a new, bigger sin. Because at least like for her infidelity, right? I can always talk to people about it even. I can talk to my friends and go like, yeah, she sucks. But Melissa, what you went through was something that you couldn't talk to anyone about.
Right. Like,
that's an even bigger punishment for me.
It was, yeah. Like I always I felt like very like uncomfortable when it was like brought up. Like even like till this day, it's like I don't like really tell a lot of people because it's like not something I'm proud at. Like like even though it's like I feel like I did it for a reason, like it still wasn't like the right thing to do. But
Until this day, people paint me as a victim, and I'm like, listen, guys, I'm not a victim here. This is me. I did that. She's the victim in this. Like I set that up.
It's not like
It's like
it was just like one night I like felt like going out and like do it's like there were issues like already there, and I think like at the time, because it's like we were so inexperienced and like so young, it was like the first time I was like ever living with like a boy. It was like we didn't really know how to like handle it. So we just like did what was comfortable. We got married anyway and like had a kid, but
but it's important to clarify. Well. It's important to clarify to the world, Melissa, that like it's not like you did it out of enjoyment. You did it out of willingly. Like it was a lot of guilt you had to go through. It was a lot of turmoil.
I felt guilty for like a really long time.
Right.
Like even like when he brought it up, what was it, like 2-3 years ago, when you started like it's like just like always made me like uncomfortable inside.
Yeah.
Like I felt bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Until I started to make you realize that.
Because it's like I wasn't doing it to like hurt him. I was just doing it to like make myself feel better.
Because you were so broken. Yeah.
Yeah. Like Like I felt bad. Yeah.
And the way I see it like this, right? It's like it's not like you were doing it out of enjoyment. So the fact that you knew, and I said this to my partner too, like I finally understand, Sam, because like the fact that you knew what you were stepping into, like you knew that if you go down this road, you're in for the world of shit. Yeah, you were in for the world of shit, like not only internal shit, not only like the internal dialogues that's gonna plague you for the rest of your life.
Mm-hmm.
You know that you're entering into a place where you're gonna be labeled for the rest of your life. You might, I don't know. You're gonna be villainized for the rest. I don't know, right? You knew the cost. The cost was very high, but you said basically, I'm so miserable that I will pay this exorbitant amount of cost just to get out of this position I am in right now.
Yeah.
And that to me it's not a sign of like you are so messed up, but it's more of like things in the relationship were so messed up back then that was the only way you could go. There was this really insensitive joke. Okay, I laughed at this. You know Louis C.K., right? Comedian, and he had this joke at SNL one time. And it's like, one of the most interesting things that people do in this world is like becoming a pedophile, right? Because like like there's no worse life than being a pedophile. Like there's no like you have destined for the worst life possible, but yet they still do it. And then the punchline is like, so you can only surmise they must feel really good to be a pedophile. It's very insensitive. Okay, it's very insensitive. But it's kind of like the same here. It's like, man, imagine the world of pain, the world of hurt for you, Melissa, to be able to go to do this, knowing what you would have to go through and still do it. It's like, and if you, Ilya, were to say at that point, right, you are messed up. I mean, if you think about it, that's the most messed up thing of all.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are basically saying, I am oblivious to all the bad things you're feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe, Melissa, that you are so animalistic. You have absolutely zero morals. You're such a messed up human being. Even though there's no reason for you to have an affair, you still did anyway.
Crazy. Yeah.
That's the assumption you're making.
That's insane. Yeah, that's what it was. I specifically put it on her. That's it. It was all her. It was all her.
That's it.
I was oblivious to any other possibility, of what was. But you always have. That's what I learned through this program is you always have to put it on yourself. Whatever situation it is, just put it on yourself. Like, what is my?
Put it on yourself, but also be compassionate to other people to say like, what do you think would get me to the point where I would have done the same thing?
Right. Yeah. Kind of thing. Get that empathy.
Because like, if there's any guys right now, right, who are looking at this interview, who are thinking to themselves like, my partner's having an affair. I'm looking at this couple who had an affair, and you want to villainize the person who had an affair. Understand the insinuation you're making. You're saying this person, despite a great environment, despite everything that was given to her, is so messed up in so many ways that she did this anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And if you say to her, oh, once a cheater, always a cheater, you're saying, like a lot of men say this, right? It's like, oh, don't give women like that like any chance to be nice to her. Don't be nice to her. Because when you're nice to her, she will take that and run with it and take advantage of you. Like, if you're thinking your wife is like this person, you let her out of the cage and she goes like, like, let me try to figure out, like, is there any wonder why she wanted to have an affair with you in the first place? Is there any wonder why she wanted to get the fuck out of there? If that's what you think about her, imagine just how terrible the environment must be. Right?
Right. Yeah.
So
that's what I do
circular
a lot.
argument.
I put her on me now. Yeah. It's like, what if that person is doing something like that? Why would they be doing this? Like, there's got to be reasons behind that, you know? And it's like,
yeah,
I'm always like the devil's advocate now, and like, you know, like the most discussions about something serious like that, because like I always try to see the other person's side, you know, like, which might sometimes sounds crazy to people because they're like, why are you doing that? You know, what are you on their side? You know, are you for like, you know, this bad things? But it's like, no, it's like there's always two sides to every
There's always
story.
two sides.
Always.
Melissa, you've been quiet this whole time. I know this is an uncomfortable conversation for you, and thank you for gracing us with this conversation, but any thoughts on what we just said there?
Just that, like, especially like in like long-term relationships, like you've been together, like people don't just wake up and they're like, I'm gonna go cheat today. It's just, you know, there's like, I mean, I hope there's always a reason, but usually I think that there is like a reason for doing, because like you said, you don't want to like me personally, it's like my goal wasn't to like make my life explode and terrible.
Yeah.
Like there was like a reason, like something I was seeking. And I think at the time it's like I didn't even like realize that. But then like when you like stop and like think about it, it's like you were seeking something that you weren't getting in the relationship to begin with.
But it's also on Ilya, right? It's like I always tell you, Ilya, like in the program too, you know, if you want to ask your partner to say, you have one life, I want you to spend your one and only life with me. You're not allowed to think about other relationships. You're not allowed to fantasize things outside this relationship, let alone do it, commit it. You are supposed to serve me and serve me only. You're supposed to be with me, respect me, despite whatever I do. That's a really big ask. That's literally asking someone to give up their life for you. Mm-hmm. And if you want someone to give up their life for you, you better fucking deliver. You better deliver big. You want to ask big, deliver big.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, I think it's also like important to like figure out like why it happened, because we never did that. And then like I never like cheated again because it was like so it was like traumatic. But it's like things didn't get better, and I still like fantasize about like what my life would be like with someone else. Yeah. And I would like always like feel like nervous about like feeling that way. But I like of course like never acted on it again. But things like didn't get better. It didn't get better until we like confronted it, which was like later.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
everything important.
Was, like, everything was shit like until then. Yeah.
And that's something really important for people to understand, right? All these men are like saying like, no, you cannot cheat. It's like, yeah, you saying that, yeah, you might stop the cheating, but you know what? When she's laying awake at night, you're not gonna remove the desire to want to get out of the relationship. Like you're still gonna be there, okay?
Right. I was just gonna like get divorced first this time.
Get divorced first, or are you just gonna keep it to yourself? And Ilya, you're gonna become more and more powerless throughout the whole process because you have no idea what is happening inside that head.
Yeah. More paranoid, more psychotic.
More paranoid, more psychotic. And Melissa, you're going to be more like, you're going to go down that path of like being more building up more resentments, etc. And then it just becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like Samantha has an 8-year-old brother. And, you know, the parents sometimes gets hard on him, right? Whenever he makes a mistake, they would like punish him in a very like personal way sometimes. And then, but he wouldn't stop doing it. He would just not tell him next time. He would just do it in secret, kind of thing.
Yes.
You know? And the same thing here, like you're not doing anything by making someone feel guilty for having an affair, whatever it is. All you're doing is just like you're making it underground. And you're gonna make things worse, which is why we say build safety first. And one of the ways we build safety is like lean into it, right? Because this is this is the infidelity is caused by an unhappiness, whether it manifests itself as cheating or not, it's still going to be there. And your job is to find it. Your job is to resolve it, right? Yeah, don't lose the plot here, I guess.
Yeah.
Into
Show
your
her
own
the
ego.
better alternative.
Yeah.
You gotta win that back. It's not something that's been given to you. Yeah.
Right. Right.
It's like I felt like I was just like staying for a while because I felt bad, like about what happened. Like I felt like I owed him.
And I thought I wanted that, but now I think about it, that's the last thing I would ever want, is for somebody just to be there, just
I felt like I owed
out
him
of guilt.
something. Yeah.
You know, that's so messed up to like think about. So many people are living in relationships out of guilt only, you know, and continue. That
like
is
they have the label like, yeah, we're married, or yeah, they have the label like, yeah, we never cheated, but inside they're like rotting inside.
Right.
Sure, you have the labels for people to see, but you don't have what the essence of it is.
Yeah, people don't even know how to get that.
Yeah.
Sad.
It's interesting. Well, that's an hour 40 minutes, Meng.
I feel like we could keep going to it.
Oh my god, I gotta go. I'm sorry, guys.
I know, no. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying, like, in the whole scheme of the program, we're like, this is
I know it's such a sliver.
1 and 2, you know?
I know.
It's like,
I know.
There's so much more of that to go.
I want to just end with like, how does this change the relationship with your children? You said like your colleagues as well, your family. Like, tell me about that. Tell me like the contrast between back then and like now.
It's like night to day. I get to hear people out. I don't try to speak. I don't think I know everything. I'm actually interested to learn what the other person has to say. You know, I could see things from other people's point of view of why my kid is acting out. For example, what is it around? You know, it just like makes you more. It's like that single-mindedness thing where you could just pay attention to these little details that before I would not. I would just brush right over and push my objective on them, you know, but now I could hear them and actually be a human being, you know, really like relate and, you know, conversate and, you know, learn new things from people. Yeah.
I feel like, like life is just like better for you now. Like, because it wasn't just me that he was like fighting with all the time. Like he was fighting with his mom like all the time. And I think she was like also like at her breaking point now. Like they have like a very good relationship. And like I feel like at work it's like people would complain about you like a lot.
Really?
Yeah, like he was like in trouble, like they would like threaten to like, fire you like all the time, you know, but now it's like it's not like that. Like I was always so nervous like he was gonna like lose his job.
How about the kids? Because obviously, Ilya, that was a big driver for you for why you wanted to even do the program in the first place, was like the kids.
I almost feel like you like didn't have like a relationship with her like until this happened. Like I don't know, like you wouldn't do stuff, like it was always me like playing with her. Like I felt like it was just always like me.
And that's how she felt, but I always felt like I was always there, you know. So that's what like she was always telling me. It's like, oh, I'm so lonely. Like, how? Like we're here all the time
like
together,
by him being
you know?
there,
but I wasn't there
because she was like a baby at the time. Like I would be like on the floor playing with him and he would be like sleeping, taking up space on the floor next to us. So that was like him being there.
Yeah.
And you know, she's like a little kid still, but she like notices like she'll like look at pictures and she's like, how come like it was always just you and like not daddy? But now it's like they have such a nice like he takes her like to places alone, like without me. Like he plays, like I don't like to play, but he'll like sit down and play with her. Like and like take like I don't want to go to the park, like he takes her to the park. Like so it's like almost like he's like the funner parent now.
Yeah, like she'll tell me secrets she won't tell her.
Yeah, they have like a very good
because she knows like I will never overreact. I always got that bulletproof vest, you know.
Yeah.
No matter what, she can tell me bad, good, like I'll still love her.
And I'm like, what?
And she'll tell me all the bad without even realizing that she said anything because there's no reaction.
Got it.
It took a lot. It took a lot of work on myself, on my inner, you know. I had to go deep and find out that I had what issues I had and where did I get them. I almost had to go back to like my childhood and my birth. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And like, how was my relationship with my mom? Who raised me, for example? You know, little by little, I started to realize all these issues and that, you know, and then I could finally do something about it. And now, the kid's great. The kids, me and her have a really good relationship. Wife and I also have a good relationship.
Mhm.
It's a beautiful thing now, you know.
Yeah.
Good, man. I love
Yeah.
it. Let's end on this one. So, Melissa, if you could transport yourself back, let's say you have a time machine, you can stand in front of a version of yourself 2 years ago
Mhm.
and say something to that version of yourself 2 years ago and give some advice. Say, what would you say?
Just that like things can get better. Like even when you feel like it's like that's it. Like because I know people like think that like this is it, the relationship is over, but it is possible to like fix it and like really fix it. Like it's not just like better now, like it's solid. Like we have like a solid foundation. Like honestly, like, I didn't want to do the interview at first. I was like concerned, but like this program has like changed him and like changed my life so much. So I felt like, like I had to do it. I'm like a very private person. So I was like a little like concerned about this, but like we owe like everything good like to this program.
Sure.
Like it really like changed like our relationship and like our life. Like my life is just better now. It's like 1,000% better.
Oh, I really appreciate you doing this
Yeah.
interview. I know.
Yeah, no, of
Like
course.
when you came on for the first time, I was like, okay, I can sense the tension. So I was trying to like loosen you up. I was like, this is
Yeah.
casual, super chill. So thank you so much. I know it was not easy. Yeah.
Yeah, no, of course.
Ilya,
Yeah.
what would you say to yourself 2 years ago or 3 years ago?
You're a big dick.
You're a big dick.
Whatever I know, just scratch that. Basically start from the beginning. Don't have assumptions. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't have any assumptions. Just be a blank slate and don't think of anything that you know anything. Just just trust the process with these things. Especially with this program, and try to see the good in the person next to you. That this is the closest person that's supposed to be with you, and you're like, this is not.
You're not like meant to be like miserable together.
Yeah, you're not supposed to be enemies. This is
like what's happening.
You got to cherish these people in your life, and they're not throwaways. That's what it is. Yeah.
I love that, and I always say like you cannot solve your problems using the same thinking you used to create it, and that goes to your assumptions that you make. So when you make an assumption about what your partner said and why she said it, even sometimes like people make assumptions about like what we do, right? It's like the program, etc. Like don't do that, right? Because you're still using your old thinking to make those assumptions. You're basing it from the same knowledge to make those assumptions, which caused the problem in the first place. So like just be careful of that. Just be humbler and just say like maybe what I think is so sure, an assumption that I made that is so sure may not be correct. Only then can we get somewhere. If you are so sure that your assumption is correct, then whatever, go until that takes you to rock bottom and then come back when you're ready. But we do take a trip to New York every year, me and Sam. So next time we
come by, we'll have some dinner.
I'll buy you dinner. Yeah.
Double date.
Thank you for the interview too. That was so sweet.
No worries. And good luck with the wedding stuff.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Enjoy it. Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a beautiful time. Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, you have a great rest of the afternoon. I'll let you know when I'm going to Brooklyn the next time or New York the next time. And then let's get dinner.
Let's do that. Thank you,
guys.
Jeff.
Bye.
Thank you for everything. Bye-bye.